Okay guys, welcome back. So we're going to do a little comparison here between Callaway's new Rogue series of drivers. Okay, yep. So we just had Matt hit about 10 or so balls with the two opposite heads. So there's obviously 3 in the line. We have the draw version, the standard, and the Sub-Zero. Okay, so a little bit different this year. No longer have the movable weight around the back. So we've got the 3 distinct heads for 3 separate jobs, designed to give us, you know, a nice kind of wide range. So we had Matt try. First was the draw head.
Yeah.
Okay, so your normal shot shape is normally
a little bit of a draw, yeah, when I'm hitting it,
yep.
when I'm hitting it good off the tee.
So we did expect to see a few of those kind of overkick a little bit, and we did.
Absolutely,
we definitely saw quite a lot of curvature, but it wasn't as much as we thought at times, was it?
It wasn't crazy. It was definitely, it was easier to hit a draw, and it was, I mean, they'll see in the recording, it was quite a nice dispersion and pretty consistently on the right side for me, for a left-handed player.
And it made it quite one-dimensional, which is nice.
It did, yeah.
You know, I always talk about this in fits, that if you only have to worry about one half of the golf course, you're in pretty good shape. So think about that 40-yard wide fairway. If you can start it down, in your case, Matt, being a left-hander, if you can start it down that left side and move it back into the full width of the fairway, you know, you become a much better driver of the ball because your target's bigger.
100%.
If you're the curse of the neutral golf swing is you have a bit of the two-way miss in there, and you know, I'm sure there's a lot of guys, you know, out there watching this go, well, that's me, you know, I can miss it as easy left as I can right. Generally means that you've got a pretty neutral club path, and then the face a little bit open, a little bit closed can produce both shots.
Yep.
So we were trying to kind of eliminate that left side for you. And then, you know, we went to the Sub-Zero because this is probably the head you would get fit to anyway.
Probably, yeah.
Because you are a slightly higher speed player and produce quite a lot of spin and height anyway. So, and we saw that this one really flattened the ball flight quite significantly. So the important thing to note here is both heads are 9 degree. Okay, so you'll see some fluctuations in height, but we're using the same static loft in both of them, same shaft in both of them, so in the same setting. So all of that is absolutely measured the same. What we're really measuring right here is the DNA of the head itself. Okay, so when you look at the Sub-Zero, weight further forward in the head, what that basically does to a driver, it makes it more difficult for it to rotate. When you push the CG further forward, the head actually has a more fade bias. Okay, so when you move the weight back in the head, low and back, it's easier for the head to rotate.
Interesting.
Okay, so so not only have they got internal weighting, obviously the weight screw like we can see here in the draw, is in the heel.
This has
forward and back.
Forward and back, right.
So you can move it further forward, and then you can actually push it back a little bit if you need to sort of have that adjustment.
Gotcha.
Okay, so let's run through the numbers a little bit here. So first, why don't we look at the draw driver that we hit first? Okay, so let's go into a little comparison. So Matt's usual kind of, you know, tour level ball speed, 173, really good. Launching at 15.5, 2500 spin on average, averaged 301 carry, 314. Okay, so really good numbers. But look at this trajectory right here, really high.
Yeah, it is.
Super high. So if we go into the averages, we can actually see your average was 155 feet. So, you know, when you put everything together, none of those numbers are terribly kind of, you know, extreme. But combined, 73 ball speed, 15 launch, and 2500 spin, all 3 combined being high gives you a high result.
Right.
You know, it's one thing being 173, but launching it at 11 with 2200 spin, that would probably fly about 110 feet. Yeah. But you know, you add all 3 together, gives it a high flight. So
and what's the number you're looking for, that apex? 130-ish, depending on the ball speed?
For you, I would say an average apex for someone like you would be around 115, 120.
115,
yeah.
Okay.
So, so around about that would be ideal. At the tour level, you know, watch the good thing with obviously shot tracker, and you getting the TrackMan numbers on the PGA Tour coverage now. You can actually see the apex of the flight, and you can see the swing speed. Yeah. Pay attention when you're watching to how many times those are exactly the same. So, you know, if somebody like a Dustin Johnson is around 123, 124 club speed, you'll probably more often than not see him around that probably 115, 120 apex. Sometimes he's actually a little bit lower, but it's about that.
When he hits his best drives,
ratio.
they carry the furthest. And
exactly.
Yeah.
So let's run through the club delivery numbers. So strike point was good, fraction in the heel, dynamic loft was a little bit high today.
Yeah.
We definitely saw that, so that's probably impacting that height a little bit. And face angle, obviously, and path, we know that you do come a little bit from the inside.
Yeah, we're hitting some draws.
That sort of stuff. Okay, so hitting up on it a little bit today as well. So looking at the numbers right here, delivery, into out. Okay, a little bit close relative to the path. That's where we're getting our nice draw from. Good, all good stuff. Let's have a look at the Sub-Zero. So obviously, very different heading. We were getting a little fatigued by the end of the Sub-Zero swings.
Definitely, yeah.
So we dropped a little bit in club speed, and obviously ball speed suffered a little bit for that as well. But look at the difference in this flight. Much, much flatter, wasn't it?
Oh, huge.
So we had an average with this one of 110 feet average peak, which is kind of like what we're saying, that 110 to 120 sort of mark. So that was much more like it. 13 and 7 launch, 1800 spin. A little bit low for me in terms of the spin. That I like to see the spin for you probably low 2000s.
Right.
Don't want that spin to be too low. I mean, it's one thing. It's nice to from a distance perspective to have the spin low, but from a stability standpoint, I'd like to see that spin a little bit higher.
So this is someone, if you wouldn't fit someone this way unless they said, I don't care about my dispersion, just let me hit it as far as humanly possible. That's kind of what this would be.
You have to just pick and choose your battles. When it comes down to having that spin that low, if you see the players very consistent with the strike, very consistent with the face angle, those are the two variables that allow you to manipulate spin up or down. So if you see someone that's a little bit wayward with a driver, air on the high side, somebody who's super consistent and just delivers it square every single time, drop them down. Get that launch up if you can and get the spin rate down as much as you can.
Gotcha.
So that's just depends what you see. So let's throw those side by side.
Yeah, so I mean it's interesting to see the difference between those two heads just from a spin comparison, but when we first started, we were more interested in, can the draw head actually move the ball as far as it's supposed to? You could probably speak to what the manufacturer claims percentage-wise. Are we looking at 10-15% more draw? Yeah. But we saw a good 20 yards.
We
on
saw
average,
about 20 yards,
yeah.
which is great for me as a fitter. The player who's suffering from the odd lost ball, the odd ball that's putting them into a bit of trouble because they're fading it too much. Well, that draw all of a sudden, we're able to change it from a neutral head to a draw head by 20 yards. That's a game changer.
Yeah.
And I said to you when you came in today, how much success I've been having with that.
Yeah, you were mentioning you got so many people that were pushing it and slicing it that's really bringing the ball back in.
I'm loving the Rogue Draw edition. I really am. It's fantastic. Where with our connector system, we can shut the head down a little bit more, even if we want to. We had you at neutral, but we actually have the ability to move it even more closed than that. If you really need the help, it's really beneficial for us to be able to do that.
And just from a forgiveness standpoint, like the profile of the head, as you were saying, that weight being further back, there's no question. I mean, I was definitely more tired hitting the second club, but consistency-wise with how I was striking it and how the club face was, there's no question this was easier for me to hit. No question. No question.
You were doing the same thing.
I felt that I was doing within reason. Obviously, we're not robots, but it just felt like, and then that's kind of what they said. It's a more forgiving version of the Epic, and I guess this is more like an Epic. The Sub-Zero is similar profile.
Yeah, I mean, just the nature of like that low spin, like we talked about. Yeah. There's such a premium on all things concerned with the fit when the spin goes that low. So definitely the moment of inertia has improved with Rogue versus Epic. It's definitely easier to hit, and it's quite a different profile to look down on it.
Yeah, it is.
Not quite as round and kind of.
It's significantly different.
Bulbous. It's much more compressed than Epic was last year. We're seeing the same great results with it, though. Epic was obviously huge for us last year. Rogue is proven equally, if not even better already, to be honest.
And any differences in the ball speed gains that you were seeing with the Epic? Because you said it was great for people to get more yards. Is that kept up?
It really is keeping up. No problem at all. I had a fit this morning. Customer was really keen to try another brand of driver, and his strike was really low in the face. His ball speed with the Rogue was faster in the lower part of the head than it was in the middle of the head.
Really?
Yeah, and that's exactly the purpose of jailbreak.
Yeah, so that's working.
Exactly. So if that is your tendency, if you know that you tend to kind of hit your driver a fraction thin, now albeit you're going to drop your launch, you're going to increase your spin a little bit, but you won't lose as much as some other drivers because the ball speed stays really, really high.
That's interesting.
So it's nice to know the strike point and obviously make sure you understand where you strike it and then the consequences of that strike point.
Absolutely. So when someone comes in, like if this were my fitting, I would probably say to you, like, Ian, I'm liking this. I'm hitting this better. And I'm more consistent with it. Right. Can we make this work in terms of the spin numbers? Because obviously it's a little high in the spin.
Sure.
Can we make some adjustments to it? Can we change the shaft? Is there such a disparity between the two that it's too much?
Well, for the purpose of our exercise, what we were obviously doing was going to the two extremes, Sub-Zero and Draw.
Yeah.
I would maybe even say, okay, well, why don't we look at the standard version?
Yeah, it would be perfect.
We might be better to go somewhere in between. So, the standard version is definitely bigger as well in profile. So maybe we would get the stability and forgiveness from that head, without the kind of extra draw and height.
And so you'll get a little bit more spin out of the Draw head than the standard head.
Yes.
And then again, even less to Sub-Zero.
Yeah. Gotcha. I mean, all things equal.
Not crazy amount,
sure.
but just
I mean, the Draw head, because the nature of the draw and the face is closing, you'll generally actually probably spin at a fraction less because you've got a face that's closing more, so you're losing loft and that.
So a real world test, they'll probably actually spin it less because they're not leaving it open.
That's exactly right.
Interesting.
So definitely knowing the DNA of the heads and what they're designed to do, and obviously the players' tendencies are how we go about choosing that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt if someone came in and they said, I slice every shot 20 yards left, pop that in, we just hit up 30, 40 shots, 20 yards back the other direction, just from a club head change.
And I think all the manufacturers are seeing the benefit of this. Obviously, M4 has a Draw version.
Yep.
Ping has the SF Tech as part of their range. So the G400, we've got the new G400 Max, we've got SF Tech Standard and LS Tech.
Yep.
So everyone's starting to add that in. Titleist obviously have the adjustable CG where you can move the cartridge towards the heel, more weight in the heel, and make it a little more draw biased. The D2 by having a little more compressed shape as well is more draw biased by nature.
Gotcha.
Again, goes back to DNA of the head, how that design is made. So, every company has their own version of that, but I thought it was quite interesting to try Rogue since it's just fresh into the market.
Absolutely, but obviously there's so many different options. Someone can come in and try 10, 15 different drivers,
no question.
And you can help kind of mitigate those misses with a 10 different ways you can do it, right?
Without
that's not even touching on shafts and counterbalancing and kick pointing and
And that's all it is. I mean, the golfer brings in the problems and we find the solutions. That's what fitting's all about, So having enough heads and shafts and that type of thing, and the more sort of tools we have in our toolbox, the easier it is for us to do a good job for the golfers out there.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Excellent, guys. Leave your questions if you're interested in any of the products we've talked about today, Rogue or any of the other heads. Leave the comments below and we'll get back to you on those. Thanks for watching.